Hey guys, and welcome to Bangers, your favorite review show. Today we're going to be talking about chocolate recipes. We got about 6 or 7 lined up. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, guys. Okay, guys, the first recipe I want to talk about is man milk from Folkart. This recipe was rated the best recipe of 2018. So, for some reason, I just haven't mixed it up. Chocolate has been one of those things that and coffee just kind of like steer away from, 100%, just because I love those two things. And, I somehow convinced myself that, chocolate in coffee is just not a thing that needs to be vaped, But before I do that, do you guys think I'm getting better at this? Yeah, if you do think I'm getting better at that, hit a like down below, and let's get into the show. Okay, so this recipe from Folkart is called man milk. He says here in the description, from day one of my mixing career, I have been on a quest to make the perfect chocolate milk. And with many failures, I've gotten about as close as I can to that profile with man milk. So this recipe is still in progress, okay? So I wonder if I should read through all of this. But, what this really is, this is a chocolate milk recipe. The combination here of chocolates that we used is double chocolate V2 plus HS chocolate cream, all right? Let's see what Folkart says here. For this recipe, I settled on capped double chocolate V2. This is a highly underrated flavoring, in my opinion, being that I don't use it much in other recipes. It's a thick, deep chocolate, almost dark chocolate, that only needs that sweet and fatty infusion to make it into a nice chocolate. Yeah, I agree with Folkart here. It definitely is. So he goes in with a few additions: FLV cream, FA meringue, and LB vanilla ice cream, just to create that milk, that fatty milk, full cream milk, sort of to back up those chocolates. All right. He also adds, to give you like a milky chocolate. He says here, I have noticed that the most chocolate flavorings need either a coconut note or a caramel note to simulate either cocoa butter, with which is most chocolates, or the caramel to simulate a richness like caramel chocolate. In this mix, I decided to go with the caramel root. It seemed to be the better choice for a chocolate milk rather than using coconut flavoring, which seems to be better when going for a milk chocolate. Okay, if that makes sense. So he uses FA butterscotch for his choice, which is, caramel-like, to back up that chocolate milk profile. All right, HS chocolate cream, he calls this his secret weapon. It gives the mix a slight sourness, almost like a kind of yogurt-like zing, and then he goes in with 0.75% cap super sweet. And yeah, I've mixed it up, I've vaped it, and this is my impression of it. I think Folkart did an amazing job with this chocolate layer, which is HS chocolate cream and cap double chocolate V2, and backing that up with FLV cream and FA butterscotch. I think it really, hits the nail on what Folkart was going for. The FA meringue and the vanilla cream is really just to back up that cream profile. It doesn't distract you. It doesn't become a milkshake or a like an ice cream kind of vibe. It really is a chocolate milk. And for that, I can't really fault Volkart at all. But however, there is one thing here. I think this is nitpicking. This recipe is still in progress, so I'm just going to give my opinion, and perhaps we can see another variation of this. Of course, I think the FLV cream is a good component and emulsifies everything in here. I think LB vanilla ice cream, has a slight vanilla note to it. You could potentially go another route there. Look at cap sweet cream, which is also thick, but it doesn't bring that vanilla note in there. That could also work here. I think super sweet is way too high. For some reason, this really vapes sweet. I think that's the meringue plus the vanilla ice cream plus the chocolate plus the super sweet. But I mean that's a nitpicky thing. You can just drop the super sweet. If I would mix this again, I'd probably drop the super sweet to 0.3. And I like sweet stuff. This was very sweet for me. But all in all, I think this is solid progress. And for Volkart, I want to give him a tip of the banger for this recipe. It's 100% progress. And I'm going to put my own spin on this, create a variation of this. This has really inspired me to do this again and to think about chocolate. I love chocolate milks. So yeah, well done, Volkart, dude. This is great stuff. You've got a tip from me, tip of the banger.
Right, full disclaimer up front, chocolate vapes are not my favorite, but I did have a bottle of the OG Inawera milk chocolate still lying around, so I thought I'd hit ATF, find some chocolate recipes that use that, and just see if I could actually find some chocolate that I like. Probably the most appealing chocolate recipe for me is the s'more. Simply because it adds some bakery, adds some marshmallow in there, and it's the kind of combination that for me is going to help chocolate to become the sort of tasty vape that I enjoy, more bakery orientated sort of vape. If you're worried about not having OG Inawera milk chocolate, I would suggest that you want to try these recipes, I would suggest that you sub with Jungle Flavors milk chocolate. That is apparently pretty close to the Inawera. Right, that said, the first recipe that I tried was Please Sir Can I Have Some More by Sweet Poison Kim. It's just basic small recipe. It's adapted from the one that Wayne did, the small base that Wayne did on his Let's Mix show. So let's just have a look at the recipe. Obviously the chocolate is the Inawera milk chocolate, 1.5%. For the graham cracker cookie base, Sweet Poison Kim used 0.5% of acetylpyrazine, 0.5% of FA cookie, 3% TFA graham cracker clear, and then just to accent the that sort of toasted note of the cracker, there was also 1% TFA toasted marshmallow. For the marshmallow section layer of the recipe, again the TFA toasted marshmallow, together with 1.5% Flavor West marshmallow, 2% of Flavor West vanilla bean ice cream, and 0.5% of FA meringue. That's just to add some body and add some sweetness and just beef up that marshmallow a little bit. First impressions on vaping this is that the balance is just about right. It's graham cracker heavy. The chocolate is there subtly, but not dominating the graham cracker. And then the marshmallow layer just forms a very nice supporting layer behind the cracker and the chocolate. So it's a very good balance for me. The most pleasing thing about the recipe was that wonderful dark sort of honey glazed flavor that the graham cracker base has. That combination of AP, FA cookie, graham cracker clear, and toasted marshmallow makes a really nice, dark, crunchy, tasty biscuit layer for the s'mores. The Inwera milk chocolate is well known that it obviously it used to be the best chocolate flavor, and maybe not so much anymore, but it's still, it's pretty spot on for a milk chocolate. And then the marshmallow layer also works well for me. As I say, it's quite subtle, but it does just support the biscuit and the chocolate layer. So overall, this is it's a good representation of a s'mores to me. Texturally, it works well. Up front, you've got that dark honey roasted biscuit. As the exhale continues, that chocolate note sort of builds as the exhale continues. And underneath it all, you've just got that softness. There isn't so much a marshmallow flavor. It's really just a textural addition, and it just modifies and softens that cookie base somewhat, while also adding a little bit more body and maybe a little bit more creaminess to the Inwera milk chocolate. This is a pleasing vape if you like s'mores. I reckon it gets pretty close to the source material. Obviously, s'mores is a very difficult profile to get absolutely bang on, because you've got 3 different textures in there, and you really want separation between those layers. So it's an incredibly difficult balancing act. But this recipe, for what it's worth, comes pretty close to that in my estimation. It's tasty, the texture is good, it pulls it off quite realistically, making you believe that you're vaping a s'mores. And for that, please sir, can I have small by Sweet Poison Kim? Gets a tip of the banger from me.
Okay, the next recipe that I want to chat about is Mark Senior's chocolate mousse, spelled M-O-O-S-E. Makes me think of Das Mousse, so I picked this. I love Mark's mixes. I love Das Mousse's mixes. This for me is, something that caught my eye. Of course, it makes use of Glamour chocolate, which is a Molenberry flavor that Liam reviewed earlier this week. And you can go and check out the channel and find that video and see him just talking about chocolate in general and Glamour chocolate specifically. But let's look at this recipe. I'm going to share my screen. So here we go. This is chocolate mousse by Mark Senior. He says here, being a lover of chocolate, same as me, by the way, and being Canadian, I thought that what the hell, and try chocolate mousse. Yes, you can say mousse, but it's a Canadian thing, I guess. I added a custard as a vape creamer to add the depth to the vape needs, and toasted a marshmallow to give it that outdoors campfire vibe. Brought to you to 3 to 5 days steep. Brought to you by Canadian to the world, and enjoy my madness of chocolate. 3 to 5 days steep. Should do it since I only used a little custard. Yeah, so what Mark is doing here, he's making a chocolate mousse that, is a quick steeper, and this is 5 days. But yeah, at 3 days, this is definitely vapeable. For sure, I tried it all the way through. I spun it up actually for 2 days, on and off. And by the 3rd day, I was happy with it. It didn't change much between 3 and 5, but that is with magnetic stirrer in the mix. So yeah, let's talk about it. So he goes in with HS Australian chocolate at 1.25, and then goes in with 4% Glamour chocolate. So that is a really delicious combination. I just want to give props to Mark about this one. What really interests me, there's 3 vanilla notes in here. So shisha vanilla at 1%, 1% cap vanilla custard, and 2% FLV vanilla pudding. So that, of course, is that brings a very clear vanilla note into this chocolate, which is, I wouldn't say distracting, but it kind of brings almost like a pudding vibe to me, like a vanilla pudding, like a chocolate vanilla pudding vibe, to the table. and then toasted marshmallow to fluff the whole thing out and really sell um, that mousse idea. And I think I really like this combination. What really stood out for me over here was HS Australian chocolate with glamour chocolate. Awesome combination. Glamour chocolate feels like a powdery chocolate. Australian chocolate slightly smoother. Um, and the toasted marshmallow just fluffs everything out and almost imparts like a candy burnt sugar vibe to it, a toasted note to it, and it works extremely well. The shisha vanilla custard, and vanilla pudding all bring that sort of like artificial pudding vibe to the table, and that's really what I wanted to talk about with this recipe. For me, this is delicious. This is for me, almost a full banger. The only thing I could find in here, which for me was slightly distracting, was just the vanilla. But that's because I was 100% thinking of a chocolate mousse. If I vape this on its own and I don't have uh, any ideas of what this is, it would be like a chocolate pudding to me, and it is a very delicious recipe. And for that, I'm going to give that a tip of the banger. This vapes deliciously. If you're into chocolate, I can definitely recommend this one. You can sweeten it to taste. I would recommend going in pretty low though. I would say 0.25. If you're going to start going up, above that, it's really going to bring like an unauthentic sweetener taste to the mix. So, keep it low. But this to me is also, solid progress and tip of the banger, tip of me banger, to Mark. And yeah, a fist bump there. Thank you so much, Mark. I really enjoyed this one. And keep on putting them out. Thanks so much for the mixes.
Thanks to you. Hello everybody, and from the Chocoholics version of bangers this evening, I've got a couple of mixes. I'm just going to go over my first mix, which is Honeycomb Bomb by DIY Down Under on ELR and ATF, which is none other than Pippa Star. She recommends a 3-day steep for this and says it is best after 5 days, but is also shake and vapeable. Now the recipe for honeycomb bomb is as follows: Capella Cereal 27 at 1.5%, Vape Train Australia Dark Chocolate at 1%, Mollenberry Glamour Chocolate at 5%, Vape Train Australia Honeycomb at 3.5%, and Cap Super Sweet at 0.5%. Now, Pippa's actually got some quite extensive notes on this recipe, so I'll just read a couple of excerpts for you, but the full notes will be available on the recipe link in the description. What she says is, after anyone that's been mixing for a while will know that Vape Train Australia Honeycomb is one of their best concentrates that they offer. What she's found is off the shake that she actually it offers more of a sweet honey vibe to her, which then after a steep actually the cinder toffee, like the inside of a crunchy bar, the cinder toffee notes actually come through, so the honey dies down and then the toffee starts coming through for her, which actually gives a little bit of texture, and you get that inside of a crunchy bar vibe to it. Now, what she said is she was a little bit worried about the dryness, about this vape being quite dry, depending on what chocolate she actually chose, and also choosing the right chocolate. So what she did was Mollenberry Glamour Chocolate and the Vape Train Australia Dark Chocolate. She blended that together and kissed it with a touch of sweetener. It works well here to coat the honeycomb, and really assists to offer the help needed to the chocolate that she was after, so to alleviate some of the dryness. Now I was paraphrasing slightly there, so I said the full notes will be available on the recipe provided in the recipe link in the description. Now moving on to my notes, because Pippa said it was shake and vapeable. When I mixed it up, I decided to test it off a quick shake. So on a shake and vape, what I get is the honeycomb is very forward. I then get that the Vape Train dark chocolate right behind that, which is a rich dark chocolate. Again, like a lot of chocolates, syrupy. More like a dark chocolate syrup that you'd actually add to a coffee or something like that. Then behind the Vape Train dark chocolate, then I actually get some of that Mollenberry Glamour chocolate, the milk chocolate coming through. With the what the Cereal 27 appears to do in this mix of a shake and vape, at least, is it actually enhances and brings out some honey notes. Those of you that have used Capella Cereal 27 will know that it's like a dry cornflake, but it has got some honey sweetness to it. And, when used high enough, you actually get some of those honey notes actually creeping through into your mix. So I think what it's done here is it's actually mixed with the Vape Train honeycomb, and the sweetness of the Vape Train honeycomb with some of those honey notes that Pippa was actually getting. It's actually enhanced those and brought them out even more on a shake and vape. It doesn't actually provide any texture at this point on a shake. Now, coming back to it 5 days later, what I actually found was the honeycomb actually fills out, so you get some of that cinder top. So you actually get some of that cinder toffee texture coming through into your mix, which provides you with a nice mouth feel to it. Now the Cereal 27 actually backs that up and provides a very slight, for want of a better description, a very slight crunch to this. So it actually does give you the full mouth feel of the inside of a crunchy bar now, with that Cereal 27 being in there, bringing up that sweetness a little bit more, but providing more of its texture to this. Now, to this, the chocolates have actually blended really well together, with the Vape Train dark chocolate giving some deep and quite light cocoa, some deep chocolate notes and some very light cocoa notes to the Glamour chocolate. The Glamour chocolate actually provides the main milk chocolate taste to this, so you get in quite a nice creamy, rich, smooth milk chocolate, with some of those cocoa notes from the Vape Train dark chocolate actually creeping in, with these actually coating the honeycomb, providing you like the outside of the crunchy bar. So get a nice silky smooth rich milk chocolate, and this also coats your mouth as well. After you finish vaping it, you still get like the feeling in your mouth as if you've just eaten some chocolate. The Cap Super Sweet to this actually adds very nice sweetness, but just the right amount of sweetness for a chocolate. This vape is neither too dry nor too wet. It's just right. You get the nice mouth feel of the outside of the crunchy, followed by that texture right inside, without any off notes whatsoever. Now, for me, I found it slightly too rich to be an ADV, but that is more down to personal taste. I don't tend to use a lot of sweetener in real life in foods, so when I get a sweet vape, it becomes a little bit too much for me personally. Now I would be quite happy to actually give this this mix a full banger, because Pippa has actually done a really good job here with creating a crunchy in a vape. So if that is your type of vape, I suggest you mix this up and give it a try. Leave your thoughts on the in the comments of the video, and also please leave your feedback as well for the mixer. Now moving on, the next mix that I made was a strawberry sundae by Mr. Martin. Now there were no notes or recommended steep time with this recipe. The recipe is as follows: Mullenberry Glamour chocolate at 2.5%, TFA strawberry ripe at 4.5%, TFA vanilla bean ice cream at 3%, and TFA whipped cream at 2%. Now because there was no notes or no recommended steep time on this, I actually tested this as a shake and vape only. If somebody doesn't leave a recommended steeping time or any notes detailing their process, I normally take those as being a shake and vape. So off a shake and vape, what I actually got is the strawberry ripe is the flavour that actually hits you first. Now in this mix, instead of being a juicy strawberry dipped in sugar with a very slight green note, which is what I get off strawberry ripe as a standalone, what I get in this mix is a pretty much syrupy sweet strawberry without any green notes, because they're being hidden by all of the others. Now this is then followed by a nice creamy ice cream that is rich with a non-spicy vanilla. Now the whipped cream in this actually gives the vanilla bean ice cream a nice, well-needed cream boost and some needed depth to the vanilla bean ice cream. And as a lot of people know that have used TFA whipped cream before in a mix, it actually acts like a blender as well, particularly for creams. So what this does, it actually blends together the VBIC and the Glamour chocolate. So it actually lends some of those creamy notes to the Mullenberry Glamour chocolate, eliminating the powdery dryness that I got off the exhale on a standalone test of the Glamour chocolate, and boosts up those dairy milk notes. Now this is still quite a syrupy chocolate, but it actually works very, very well in this recipe. Now this actually gives it a nice like a little squirt of chocolate syrup onto a sundae. Now this recipe is actually true to its name. This is a sundae with a strawberry syrup and a chocolate syrup squirted on top. Now it's a little bit more strawberry forward than it is chocolate, because the chocolate does come through right at the end of the vape, but this is actually quite well done. As a shake and vape, this is very tasty and definitely worthy of a mix from those that actually like their strawberry and creams and their chocolate and cream vapes. So I'd recommend that you actually give this a mix if this is your type of profile. Now due to it only being a shake and vape, due to only testing it off a shake and vape, I know what's going to happen. The strawberry will actually fade in this during a long steep. So because of the lack of notes and it only being and this only going to be good off a shake due to the strawberry, I'm quite happy to give this a tip of the banger.
For my second chocolate recipe, I stayed with the s'mores theme, and I chose s'mores milkshake by Mr. G. The recipe is The milkshake base is 1.5% cream milky undertone, 2% TFA sweet cream, 2.5% TFA vanilla bean ice cream, and 1% FA meringue. The marshmallow is 2% TFA marshmallow with 0.5% of TFA toasted marshmallow. And then the obviously the chocolate base is just 0.75% inner milk chocolate. Now I think this recipe was changed by Mr. G, because the one review of the recipe says, the reviewer says that he dropped the inner milk chocolate to 1% and found that it worked very nicely there. Now in this recipe it's only at 0.75, so my suspicion is that in the original recipe the inner milk chocolate was up at around maybe 1.5%, somewhere around there, and Mr. G has dropped that down to 0.75% with subsequent revisions of the recipe. This is obviously going to be a very challenging type of profile to get right texturally. S'mores is difficult enough as is. Now to make a s'mores milkshake, where you're getting that cookie, marshmallow, chocolate blend and then adding it into a milkshake and trying to get everything to register is going to be really difficult. And to his credit, I think Mr. G has pulled it off here. What I'm getting off the vape is a very creamy s'mores. It doesn't sacrifice the dryness of the graham cracker, nor yet does it sacrifice the creaminess of the milkshake. It manages to balance those two really, really well. What it does in the process is that graham cracker note kind of drops down a little bit. So this is a mix where the chocolate and the marshmallow element of the s'more come more to the forefront, and that graham cracker, it just takes a little bit of a back seat. It's not totally gone. It's still there. You can definitely taste it, but it's just not as, it's not that crunchy, honey glazed graham cracker that the previous recipe that I reviewed featured. This is more of a softer, creamier cracker. The cracker comes through more in the flavor than in the texture. Obviously that milkshake base is going to add a little bit of liquid, a sort of thicker, creamy feel, so you're going to sacrifice that graham cracker texture. But I think it does a very, very good job of having more of a milkshake texture, but with a graham cracker flavor to it. The use of the chocolate here also surprised me. It's only at 0.75%, so it is quite subtle, but anywhere is so strong that it does register at the level where I want it to be. I found that chocolate vapes can go a little bit overboard on the chocolate. People put in too much chocolate. This is just about right for me. It's a little bit light on the chocolate, but it's definitely there in the exhale. It sort of comes through as the exhale goes on, that chocolate note comes through. So it does register, it just doesn't announce itself with a bang. So it's a subtle and complex use of the chocolate, and it works really nicely for me. The milkshake base also works really well. It's maybe just a tad dry, but considering that it's a milkshake of a s'mores, which is primarily a graham cracker, I don't want it to be too wet and thick and creamy. So it's a very difficult balancing act, and I think Mr. G got it just about right here. The cream milky undertone adds just enough moisture to not kill that graham cracker entirely, and just allows the two to coexist very well within the same recipe. So overall, this is a very finely balanced vape. Probably a little bit more chocolate and marshmallow, with the cracker a little bit in the background, but that's what you would expect from a s'mores milkshake. Very tasty, subtle use of the chocolate, but it's still there, and that was quite an eye-opener for me. 0.75% inner milk chocolate, and it's registering just fine. It's subtle, it's tasty, it works really well, you are instantly aware that it is a chocolate shake. And what it does that low as well is that it kind of takes out any off textures or notes that you might be getting in that chocolate. So it's just bleeding through somewhat into that milkshake and marshmallow base, just enough that it's registering as chocolate, but not adding anything off to the mix. So I think texturally this hits the mark for me. Flavor-wise, it hits the mark. The graham cracker is probably not quite as dark and as brown and as crunchy as the previous recipe, but again, you don't expect that in a shake. So this kind of ticks all the boxes for me. I said at the start of the show that I didn't really like chocolate recipes, but this one I can see myself mixing again quite often. So for your s'mores milkshake, Mr. G, you get a tip of the banger from me. Thank you.
My next recipe is avocado chocolate mousse by Seduced. Now he actually recommends a 7-day steep, and the recipe is as follows. It's Flavor Art almond at 1%, Vape Train Australia avocado cream at 3%, Vape Train Australia chocolate mousse at 2%, Flavora cream at 1.5%, and Flavor Art marshmallow at 1%. Now in his notes he says, if you've never tried an avocado chocolate mousse before, this recipe will take you completely by surprise. Not only does this velvety chocolate dessert taste utterly decadent, it gives you a nice chocolate heaven. It is rich and silky smooth, and you really can't taste the avocado, or can you? The FA marshmallow has been used to blend the mix. What you will experience is a soft, smooth, silky chocolate inhale with a nice crunchy almond touch on the exhale. Heavenly and totally delicious chocolate vape with the richness of the avocado cream. Now, onto my notes. This delivers exactly what is promised in the notes. This is a rich and light, airy chocolate mousse. It's got that nice airy mouthfeel, and again more of a milk chocolate with some slightly darker cocoa notes, which is what I'd actually expect from a chocolate mousse. There is a very slight avocado taste in there to me, even after the 7-day steep. Now I'm not too sure whether that is just me, but it is there, but it is very, very light and very subtle. And the longer you vape it, the less noticeable that avocado actually is. What the avocado adds to this mix, it's made the chocolate notes a lot richer, and it's also filled it out a little bit, adding a little bit of depth to it. Now, I've actually tested the Vape Train avocado cream as a standalone flavour. I really enjoyed it, but it did have a very odd banana off note to it, which I was a little bit worried about with it creeping into this mix a little. But it really surprised me. There is no banana off note in this whatsoever. So those of you that have actually tried the Vape Train Australia avocado cream and get that slight banana off note, don't let that put you off from mixing this recipe, because it is not there in this. Now, what the Flavora cream adds to this, it adds its nice buttery richness, further enhancing the chocolate and creating an almost cocoa butter richness to this, which is something that some chocolates actually need. Now, the Vape Train chocolate mousse, for me as a standalone, was a complete standalone. It didn't really need that, but it did need a little amount of depth, which again, along with the avocado cream and the Flavora cream, this does actually have quite a lot of depth to it, and a very, very nice, silky, rich, buttery mouthfeel. Now, the marshmallow does blend everything together nicely, and it also adds its own sweetness to this, so does actually make it quite naturally sweet, while also applying some of its own mouthfeel to this mix, so making it airier again. It's to me, it's the mouthfeel on this, whilst being rich, creamy, buttery chocolate mousse. That airy mouthfeel, it almost gives you the impressions of those mousse bubbles just breaking on your tongue. Now, what I found very interesting with this mix is the almond. Now, flavour out almond, for those that have used it, you'll know that it is actually more of an extract than the raw nut, especially when it's tested as a standalone flavour. Now, the avocado has actually done something pretty interesting to the almond. The green notes from the avocado have actually dragged the almond kicking and screaming back to a raw almond. So in this mix, you do actually get a very nice raw almond crunch to it. The raw almond taste is there, the raw almond mouthfeel is there. It's a very good use of the avocado there. This is definitely something that I'm going to be borrowing from Seduced, and actually I will give him full credit in any recipes that I use the avocado and almond combo in to actually get that nice raw almond. All in all, this is a very nice vape that chocoholics should like. If you like slightly unusual mixes, definitely give this a mix. If you like innovative mixes, give this a mix. This deserves a full banger, as well as a big fist bump off me to Seduced. This is a very nice recipe. Thank you everybody for listening to me waffle on about my mixes. Remember, if you mix any of these recipes, please leave some feedback for the mixer, as well as letting us know in the comments how you actually find them and whether you agree with us or not. Right, thanks everybody. Back over to you, Theo.
Hey guys, and we've come to the end of the show. Just want to thank everybody in chat that hangs out with us week after week. It's nice to have you guys here. Guys, also remember to like the video and to hit the subscribe button if you are not subscribed yet. Okay. Then first things first, you will see that there has been a link going around. It was an announcement in the Facebook mixologist group. I'll throw a link out there. If you're not a member, go and join, for the kindground fundraiser. Kindground, aka Philip, has been diagnosed with esophageal cancer, and we want to do everything to give back to the man, that's been giving to us. So here's an opportunity for us, guys. Also go and check out just a couple of channels. First, want to shout out Daytime Frank. Go and check out his YouTube channel. Go and check out Fresher 3's YouTube channel if you're not subscribed yet. DIY Down Under, of course. Also go and check out their Facebook group. Daytime Frank has a Facebook group, by the way. It's called Mixing in the Kitchen New Group. Very cool. Go and hang out there. And Developed and the Mix and Vixens, guys. Those are channels that I like and enjoy, and I can thoroughly recommend them. So yeah, we're pretty much done, guys. I hope you enjoyed the content. Leave a comment below if you want us to change something or if you like the show. But thank you so much for hanging out with us, and see you next week. Cheers.